The impact on fatherhood in relationships. How does fatherhood, being a father, impact the quality of your relationship between your spouse and your children, or your child, or your newborn child? What does it do in terms of the dynamics of the relationships? How does it affect the communication and also maintaining connection? These are just some of the areas that we're going to be exploring in today's video. I want to discuss the fathering. There brings so much immense joy as well at the same time. Yes, it's got its challenges, but there's also the challenges that arise. And this is the thing that I want to bring to your attention. When you are able to rise above the challenge as a father, then the whole relationship becomes joyous. It's beautiful, but it requires its work. Like everything in life requires work. Now, I'll tell you what gets affected. The romance between you and your spouse gets affected. The couple's dynamics get affected. Why? Because once a child comes into the scene, it disrupts your routine. It disrupts your intimacy. It disrupts your communication, your lifestyle, your routine, your work, everything, your health, your sleep. Everything gets disrupted by that child. And how do you navigate these challenges? This is the sort of thing that I want to delve into. Before parenthood, I would recommend that couples spend quality time together, appreciate the moments, set personal time, have personal goals, have couple goals, and also joint interests. Why? Because this will help nurture the relationships. Because after that, it's going to get hectic. When a child comes along, it's going to be very challenging now, because some of your goals would have to take a back seat. Because now a new priority has come on the scene. The child now becomes the focal point. And sometimes your relationship with your spouse will suffer. And you must be mindful of this. You must be mindful in terms of prioritizing what needs to be done. Because if you do not take care of your spouse, or your spouse doesn't take care of you, highly likely that the upbringing of the child is not going to be very successful. It is going to be very challenging. It's going to be stressful. You're going to be drained, and you're going to be playing against each other, off each other, because one of you guys are going to feel as if you're overworked and the other one's not contributing. These are the challenges because of lack of communication, lack of connection. So these are the types of things that you need to set aside and talk to each other, communicate with each other of how to manage the child more effectively. Who does what? Who is comfortable doing what? What would you like to? What would you like to have? What are your goals in the relationship? Do you want to spend more time with your spouse? Do you want to spend more time with your child? Do you want to spend more time on your personal development? Do you want to spend more time on your health? Do you want to spend more time just bonding together? What does the relationship look like? Because if there's no clarity, all of these areas are going to get disturbed. They're going to get stressed. And guess what? You would not want to be in a relationship because you're too overstressed. You're all over the place. You're confused. You don't know where you're going. All you're trying to do is survive, because your sleep gets affected. Your health starts to deteriorate. Your diet starts to look poor. You become overweight. So all of these factors causes stress. And when they cause stress, you tend to take it out on each other, and then the arguments start to rise. And then what did you do? What would you do in these kind of situations? This is just an awareness video, guys, to just bring a few things to your attention. But there are solutions. What are the solutions? Before I get to the solutions, generally there's a lot of misunderstanding, but the misunderstandings can be sorted out by having an open communication. You must sit down with each other and discuss how would you like to take the relationship forward. What strategies would you like to implement in terms of managing the child and your personal goals? What are your partner's goals? What are your goals? These things have to be discussed, because if there's no plan in place, there's no clarity. And if there's no clarity, there's no direction. And if there's no direction, there's a failed relationship. You understand? So if you don't have open communication, what's going to happen is you're going to build up resentment through time, resentment with each other, and your intimacy is going to slack. There's going to be a lot of deterioration in the relationship. And all it took was for both spouses to come together and understand where the relationship is going and try to address the issues and be respectable to each other. One listens, one speaks. Once the other one's finished, then the other one listens and speaks. Does the same, but just take it in turns and be respectful, be amicable, and come in from an angle where you want to understand where your partner's coming from, not wanting to retaliate in terms of what they are saying. You're not preparing yourself for war. Relax, guys. You're trying to work together, not against each other. So this is what happens when you become a father. You face all of these types of challenges. And it's teamwork. When both parties become active in raising that child, it becomes more easier than one person raising a child or children. You have to be mindful, fathers, of what's going on around you in your relationship, because if you're not taking care of your relationship, i.e. taking care of business, it's going to fail. It's not about being in a relationship where you're surviving. It's about being in a relationship where you are thriving. There's a big difference. And guess what that requires? That requires you to grow, to develop, to always educate yourself. Don't be in a relationship if you are not growing. Don't blame your spouse if you are not growing. Because one of the main reasons why the relationship fails or is challenging is because we have failed to grow. We have failed to develop ourselves. We have failed to develop our communication skills. We have failed to develop our health. We have failed to develop our management skills in our relationship. So these are some of the areas that needs to be addressed. And when you're able to address them, then you can work things out. It can be navigated. It's got its challenges, but it can be done. This is what I'm trying to bring to your attention. And this requires a father to be resilient. And there's no ideal place like a relationship to build character for the father, to build his strength, to build his resilience, to build his mental toughness, to build his physical toughness, for him to grow. But in order to do that, the spouse has to help. And the way the spouses will help and fall into place is when the father comes correct. Then there's a higher likelihood that his spouse will come correct. But the father must lead the way. It starts with the father, because the father is the gatekeeper of his relationship. The father is the protector, the provider of his unit, his family. So it makes sense for him to develop himself, because when he develops himself, the relationship flourishes. Yeah, you're in a relationship because you accepted the challenge. You are committed to grow, to develop. You'll be accountable and responsible, because you want to make things better. You want to improve. So this is how we can nurture the relationship. It's a commitment throughout the rest of your life. It don't stop at childhood. You raise your child and that's it. No, you still got to take care of your spouse. You have grandkids if you're privileged enough to be in that relationship. So this video is just about bringing things to your attention to raise awareness of the impact of the father, what he has in the relationship, and what he must do for his relationship to succeed.